Hi, Luna.
Hi, Mom.
To quote Bertolt Hoover, are we doing this now, here?
I guess we are.
Okay, then. Welcome to this inaugural episode of our Attack on Titan podcast. I would love to tell you what it's called, but we haven't decided on a name yet. So while we don't have a name, we do know what this podcast is going to be about. Luna and I will be discussing the current manga chapters. We'll include bits about the monthly poll and also highlights that we enjoyed from this season's anime. I'm Mom Taku. I'm best known from Tumblr, where I've been blogging about this series for more than 4 years.
And my name is Luna, but on Reddit I'm better known as Wings of Moonlit Night. And on Reddit I upload everything related to the quote-unquote official chapter poll every month. And welcome to episode 1 of, well, whatever this is going to be called. So let's start with the chapter. Chapter 107 is called Visitor, and we'll be talking about 3 events that happened in this chapter. First off, we're going to start with Kiyomi's visit to Paradis. Second, we're going to talk about Nicholo's visit to Sasha's grave. And finally, we are going to talk about one last visit, namely Hange visiting Eren in prison. So let's start with the one that we waited for the longest time, Kiyomi arriving at Paradis.
Kiyomi Azumabito. I have been dying to say that name for months. Kiyomi Azumabito is a character that we first met in chapter 98. You probably remember it's when I think it was Udo spilled something on her and she protected the children. She reappeared very briefly in 99 to wish Willie Tybur good luck in his performance. But we haven't seen her since. So, Luna, we've had essentially 9 months now to speculate about this character. What did you think? Was she anything you expected?
She was definitely not what I expected, actually, because I thought she was very caring for the audience, but also had maybe some tricks up her sleeves, or maybe she was going to double cross some people. But when we met her, she was kind of upfront about her intentions and what she wanted. And I think she is very close to getting exactly what she wants, which is Paradis's resources and the money that comes with that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You know, there are so many times when a new character is introduced that we just spend months and months wondering about their motives and who they're working for. And with Kiyomi, I feel like there's none of that. I mean, she basically spelled out who she was and what she wanted in the very first conversation. So I don't feel like she's going to be someone that we're writing, reams and reams of meta about. I think she's just a character who's, the cards are on the table and she definitely has her own interests and we're just going to sit back and enjoy her. Were you at all disappointed? Were you hoping for somebody a little more suave?
No, this was actually better than I expected. I mean, to see her drool like that, it had me cracking up. And yeah, I actually am looking forward to what she has to offer, what she can put on the table, because at first I felt she was going to play everyone, but now I feel like Zeke might be playing her a little bit. And I'm not sure if that hunch that I have about that is right, or maybe she still has one more ace up her sleeve. What do you think?
I think, okay, the monthly chapter poll this month, we asked about her, and definitely people feel like she probably has some more secrets. Like we don't know everything about her, but our attitude is pretty much like collectively the fandom, Hanji and Mikasa, who both were, completely not at all blindsided by this character. Mikasa feels like she's being used. Hanji's like, well, we knew she was all about the money. So yeah, I like you, I was expecting somebody a little bit elegant, a little bit caring. And instead we have this, money grabbing, woman who is drooling at the thought of these, what are they called? I don't even remember what the stones were called. Power Stone? No.
Ice Burst.
Ice Burst stones. We have waited 107 chapters to learn about Ice Burst stones.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I was very, I don't know, was I disappointed? No. I'm glad that this isn't a character that is full of, at this point, of secret motives. I'm glad that she's somebody that, is just who she is and not at all embarrassed about drooling at the table.
No, she wasn't. No, I agree. She's kind of like maybe still like a snake in the grass, kind of seeing what prey she can eat. But on the other hand, she's also has a certain style or air about her that I really appreciate. I think she's going to be a very fun character to read up about in the upcoming chapters. And Mikasa's reaction to her, like the deadpan, like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life. Guess that didn't quite go as I expected. That was so hilarious to me.
If she is a snake in the grass, at least she's not pretending to be anything aside from one. I mean, there's absolutely no hidden agenda there at this point at all. But yeah, what did you think about the something I've noticed in the fandom is a lot of worry that Mikasa is the apparently the descendant of this shogun, and it's going to create this role for her. But I read that a little bit differently. To me, it sounded like Kiyomi was saying that she's the last descendant of the shogun on the island. So I do get the feeling that Mikasa's situation is slightly different from Historia's, in that Historia absolutely is the last female member of the Fritz family. Mikasa is not. Kiyomi is also of that family. So I do wonder, people who are concerned about what direction this is going to take her character. I think she's valuable to Hizuru, but I think she's valuable more as like a national symbol than as, the lost princess of Paradis or something of that nature. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think her role as like the so-called princess of Hizuru has any meaning at this point. And I don't know. I think, again, like Kiyomi just used it as an opportunity to get like a foot in with the Paradisians, but I don't think it's going to mean anything in the long run. And I don't think Mikasa herself would want it to mean anything in the long run.
No, certainly not. And one thing I noticed that, clearly she's not being treated any differently. She was still on the mission to Marley. She was still putting her life at risk. So even though she's like this descendant of the shogun of Hizuru, it's not a situation where they're putting her, in a castle tower and locking her away and keeping her safe. So I guess I'm of the same hope as you. This is another maybe facet to her character, but it's not going to be anything that's truly defining. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. She's not seen as the precious good like Eren is, because he's the one being locked away and being kept from everyone.
I have thoughts about that, by the way. We'll save those for another visit.
Okay, we can do that.
So another side character that got a lot of attention this month was Nicholo, which brings us to the next of the visit in this chapter entitled Visitors, and that was Nicholo visiting Sasha's grave. And this was an emotional highlight for so many people. What was your favorite aspect of that moment?
For me personally, I really liked seeing Sasha's whole family there. So finding out that she had a mother and seeing a little girl with them. I thought at first it was her sister, but then later became clear it was probably the girl she saved earlier on. That was very emotional to me. Yeah, how did you feel about that scene?
I mean, I thought it was a great moment. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. At first, I was a little bit surprised that her death got so much reaction. I certainly don't begrudge it. Sasha was a great character and, deserved these moments, not just a reaction at her death, but we saw her body being let off the airship. And now we have the scene with her family and her friends and, people mourning her. This is really the first time that we've gotten that in this series. And, it's hard not to feel a little sad because maybe, other characters who died have not gotten that. But maybe it speaks more to the change in Paradis, that, originally there was no time to mourn the dead, and now there is. Now, the situation is still terrible, but, it's not, they're not running from one crisis to the next. They're focusing on one giant crisis. And that allowed for, Sasha to get some of the attention.
That's definitely part of it. But another part of it is also, in my opinion, that, this is going to be a very big shift for the relations within the Scouting Corps. And I think Sasha's death might be the catalyst for that. I mean, of course, we already saw the wheels being put in motion when Yelena arrived. But, this was really, a defining moment for them, and not in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time the 104th has lost somebody since the days of Trost, isn't it? I mean, Bertold, Reiner, Annie, obviously.
Yeah, but they don't really count, right?
Right. I mean, they were traitors, right? So this is the first time that they've lost one of their own.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really glad that this focus happened. But like I said, at the same time, a little bit salty that, I'll just say it, that Erwin has not gotten his memorial and we haven't seen Niall's reaction. And, maybe that'll come. Maybe now that the focus of this series has changed to more of a bigger problem than, Titans trying to eat them around every corner. Maybe, we'll get a little more. I'm not going to hold my breath, but maybe.
Well, I mean, Isayama himself said that Erwin was still important and that he would still be, appearing in the series. So who knows? Maybe we'll get something more. I think also, someone else who died at the same time, Bertolt.
Yeah.
He never really got a true, goodbye from Reiner, for example. But now that he has been confirmed death, I think we will also be getting something there, perhaps.
Well, and Isayama did say during the event, the fan event that was several months back, that he kind of regretted the way he handled Mike and even Marco. I've heard where he,
really?
I don't know if he was teasing, but kind of had forgotten to include Marco's death. That might have been him trolling the fandom, but I know the expression about Mike seemed sincere. That he killed a lot of good people early on, and those scenes not being revisited did leave a lot of people feeling sort of empty.
Yeah, with Mike, I can especially understand because he was supposed to be the second best soldier that they had, and nobody even really mentioned it. So, and the way he died was rather brutal as well. So,
yeah, it was absolutely horrible. And, there was no acknowledgement of him until, Erwin's imagining him as he's standing on a pile of corpses. Yeah. And I mean, at least I remember at the time we were all just feeling like that was, we were so happy even for that, which is it tells you how horrifying this series is, that we're happy to see, somebody's face in a pile of corpses. It's yes, he's been acknowledged. It's really sad.
True.
So holding out hope for that epilogue there to kind of give us closure. And I am holding out hope, like you said. Bertold, I think, has had the least amount of attention since his death. So maybe we'll get that moment with Reiner.
Yeah. Well, I think he was going to draw up some more stuff about Bertold, I think. He said that he didn't really think about Bertold a lot, but then, maybe after he thought of his father, he got inspired to write something more. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so.
By the way, how did you feel about Connie talking about Sasha and the things he said about her?
I mean, I think that the Springles shippers, this is horrible for them, but they absolutely got everything that they wanted. I mean, the scene in chapter, was it 106, where they have their arms around each other and the way that she's holding his hand. And then, this with Connie's own admission that he's lost half of himself. I think that, Springles is such a great ship, and, everybody should be, I think everyone's really happy to have gotten this moment for them, and to see,
think so too.
Yeah, Connie's very real grief. Nobody likes to see Connie sad, but it's definitely the importance that they were to each other was not just something that we were reading in the pages of the manga. The importance to each other was, part of the canon story. So it's nice to get that sort of gratification when you've liked a couple of characters for such a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a really beautiful moment and just very touching to read. And I'm also glad that they defended Nicholo, all of them, against I think, was it somebody from the garrison?
I guess so. I should go back and look at those pages because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, certainly the grave wasn't being guarded unless this garrison soldier had just come to see Sasha as well and was offended at the sight of a Merlion.
I think so.
It was so nice to have that moment of people coming together and, everyone acknowledging that even though they're on different sides of the fence, maybe that this was something they could agree on, that Sasha was a great girl and, that Nicola had done such a complete 180 in his feelings for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also really like the handshake between Nicholo and Sasha's father. I think, it gave me a little bit of hope that, the Marlians and the Eldians can work to some sort of peaceful future together.
I hope so.
We'll see. We'll see.
It was a great moment.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I know the series itself is not really moving towards that direction, but at least right now on Paradis, it's looking a little bit better. So
Yeah, we had that one moment of people getting along, that one moment that,
Yeah, they were getting along.
We need to be satisfied with that because we're going to move right into a visit where people did not get along.
Yeah.
It did not have that emotional satisfaction.
Not one bit. No, so yeah, Hanji visiting Eren. So we pulled this event and we asked people if they agreed with Eren's reaction and if his anger was justified. And there was kind of a 50-50 split to people agreeing with him and people disagreeing with him. What do you think about that?
I'll be honest with you. So I have been following and or participating in these monthly chapter polls for almost 2 years. And I have never, ever been more shocked at a reaction. I mean, the question was, yes or no, is Eren being too harsh towards Hanji? And I thought for sure this one would be a slam dunk, that, we in the fandom could look at that situation and say, yeah, he's crossed the line here. This, grabbing your superior officer and screaming at them until your shifter lines show up and spitting in their face is probably not acceptable. So when the vote, literally, there was what, like 0.7% separating? Please, Luna, explain this to me. How is half of the fandom seeing Eren reacting as he did towards Hange, which I think, I would call it rage, fury, anger. How is that okay? How is that not being too harsh?
Honestly, I don't think the results were that surprising, because if we look at the polls from the past couple of months, every time we talk about Eren's actions, we can see that 50% of the fandom agrees with Eren and the other side does not. So, yeah, was I surprised to see another 50-50 split? No, not really. But whether I personally think if he was too harsh, it's a bit tricky, because I don't really see Hanji as the natural leader that Eren was. And I don't think she ever really got that respect from Eren as well, because, he kind of sees her as his goofball and, they do experiments together. And of course, she's still his superior, but I don't think she ranks as high as Levi or Erwin in his mind. So it makes it much easier for him now that he's stronger and older and has really, chosen his own path to go against what she wants. And yeah, the fact that she was also kind of taunting him and, making fun of him didn't really help the situation, in my opinion. What do you think about it?
Now, I read the situation differently. I didn't see, I've seen other people make the accusation that she was taunting him, but to me, it was a callback to the early days, to their early days. She's the one who visited him in prison. Mm-hmm. When he first, right before the court scene with Levi, they'd stayed up all night talking. I really think what she was attempting to do was to connect with him as they had done in the past, to kind of build on the repertoire that they'd had, for the last 5 years. I think that she, was trying to reach him. And the fact that she couldn't, I don't think is any indication of her leadership skills, because nobody can reach him. I mean, he's not just Hange, Armin and Mikasa, the two people that he historically, would do anything for, he's treating them like complete strangers. So this is one of those situations, for all my Erwin Smith fangirling, I don't think he would have made a difference. I don't think Eren would have respected him either, or Levi. Clearly not Levi, since he, disobeyed the orders to start with. So I just can't point to this as a situation where Hanji is somehow flawed in her leadership. I just see it as Eren is so far gone that nothing would help.
I'd say you're like half right. I do agree with Eren kind of being like unreachable at this point. But on the other hand, you could see when Levi punished him for his insubordinance, he didn't reply. He took it. But with Hange, he fights back and he grabs her Yeah, I think there's just something about her. I think Erwin would have at least chosen a path, and really, he would have come up with another option, I feel like. And I feel like I'm kind of disappointed almost that Hanji wasn't able to. I would have
Well,
expected her to.
it's not just Hanji. We've got Armin as well. Armin, everybody talks about how great of a leader Armin would be, or that Armin should have replaced Erwin. You know what? He's right there too, at the table with Hanji. I mean, if he can't come up with anything and she can't come up with anything, I mean, I just feel like a lot of blame is being put on Hanji at this point. And if you want to be honest about it, it's not. It's the entire Survey Corps. Levi, Armin, Hanji, Mikasa, nobody is coming up with anything better. She's the one that happened to be at his, prison cell at that moment. But I would expect that, it might have been a situation where anybody had gotten that treatment.
Maybe, yeah. But I do agree. It's not just her. It's everyone. Nobody has been able to come up with something alternative. And I'm kind of, like I said, I'm still surprised about that, because we have some people who are very quick on their feet and have been able to make it through some very dire situations. But now that they've had years to think on something, all of a sudden they're not able to. I don't know.
It's another situation where we need more information. I mean, we need to know what the problem is that they're trying to overcome. And I think right now we're all just sort of lost. The whole chapter maybe blindsided us in some ways. We know Eren is frustrated. We know he's angry, but we don't really know why. Is it because of Historia? Is it because of, the Survey Corps' refusal to work with Zeke? That's for another chapter. Maybe we'll get that in chapter 108.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to speculate on and so much to talk about. Maybe we should talk about another topic?
Let's move to happier ground.
Yeah.
We could probably spend another hour on this topic, but I think in the interest of not offending everyone who's listening to us, we could move to a better topic. Something that was exciting for many people was that we got a glimpse of the warriors. And I know that was a highlight for you, Luna. So go ahead. How much did that moment mean to you?
Everything. No, I was really happy. I was so glad to see them together. It felt like they all had each other's back. And, of course, I also really appreciated Reiner's physique. Yeah.
I think Isayama appreciates his physique as well.
I think Isayama appreciates the most. Like, that man cannot get enough of Reiner.
He can't.
I'm very happy about that. I'm never going to complain about that. But it's a bit obvious.
Do you want to go ahead and read the description of Reiner from the character directory where he described Reiner?
It's going to be very hard to read that without laughing, because it kills me every time.
He's not even hiding. He's not even hiding it at this point. This is just, It's unbelievable.
No, I don't have the exact version here at the moment, but he said not only does he have David Beckham and Matt Damon's good looks, not only is he super muscular, not only does he have the absolute best personality, but he's also destined for great things. I was like, you basically created the perfect man. You cannot tell me he's not 100% into Reiner.
Well, that's the part that got me, was when he tacked on great personality at the end, because, I think a significant portion of the fandom really hates Reiner. Or just does not like him as a character. And here Isayama is like, I wanted him to be a good person. And, not just this amalgamation of David Beckham. And, it was so over the top. I blushed reading it. Okay. I blushed for Isayama reading it. But so Reiner was there, topless.
I don't think he was just topless. Let's just say that.
have to move past this point.
Yeah, let's move on to something.
So I noticed Peak is still alive. I was a little surprised. I was in the 6 or 7% of people who thought that Isayama was going to have like this Game of Thrones moment where, Peak dies and Colt, Magath has to make this split-second decision between letting her regenerate and not risking her death, and Colt, whatever. I was wrong. She looks great.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I kind of didn't really see any place for her in the story, but of course she is the one who kind of spilled the beans on Zeke and the fact that he's working with Paradis, and I'm very happy that she's very clever and she's very good at perceiving things. And yeah, I was kind of surprised because she looked the best out of all three of them, and I think she got beat up the worst out of all three of them, so she was doing a lot better than I thought she would.
Yeah, I really thought we were going to have that is Peak going to make it, yes or no drama. But, she's sitting up in bed, staring at the two of them, at Reiner and Porco. And, live to tell. So I'm happy. I'm surprised, but I'm happy. I thought the losses on Marley's side would include more than Zeke. So what about Porco? True. There was Porco, a little change of heart there, do you think?
I think so. Yeah. He seemed very accepting of Reiner, and I like that it was a nice contrast to the first time we saw him, where he was eating and he had his back turned towards Reiner, and he was being very snippy with him, and now he was turned towards him and offering him his drinks. So I think it's safe to say that his feelings have changed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think in the chapter poll, we asked that question about, whether or not people felt differently about Porco after this. And you probably remember the exact number better than I do, but the most significant number was people who, were happy that he was being a little bit less of a jerk.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have also changed their mind a little bit on Porco, and they see him a little bit differently now in a better light. Yeah, I'm happy for that, because I think the relationship between Porco and Reiner, there's still a lot to develop there, and I'm also kind of curious when he will find out what Marcel did for him.
Yeah, that's going to be rough. Yeah, and a lot of people are looking forward to his moment with Historia, because we have to have some resolution. Speaking of, deaths and resolutions, that's another one where, I don't think it's done yet. Ymir's memory, Porco's memory of Ymir, somehow this has to factor into Historia again.
Well, I truly hope we haven't seen the last of Ymir. It would be interesting to see Porco and Historia meet, but I don't know. Concerning her current situation, I'm very curious to find out what is going through her mind right now.
Yeah,
because that was not at all how I expected this. Not at all how I expected her life to develop. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, this is honestly, that last page of the manga is one that if I had a choice, I would not discuss at all, because I think it's horrifying. It's upset a lot of people. I see reactions ranging from, some people are very flippant about it. Oh, it's a necessity. Royals have babies. That's what they do. That's, and other people are quitting the series because they're perceiving this moment as Historia's character development being just shredded to pieces and utterly destroyed. I don't know. Is this a topic you want to delve into? Do you want to talk about that last page of the manga that showed Historia's pregnancy?
I mean, as we could see, like also in the chapter poll, like the overall grade this chapter received was a little bit lower than normally, and I think there were a lot of strong reactions, as you mentioned, to Historia's pregnancy. And I think for now, it's just best to kind of leave this topic alone until we have some more information on what exactly is going on and, how she feels about the entire thing, than to speculate on something that people already don't have good feelings about.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that I don't trust Isayama with this, not in a sense that I don't trust him to handle it well. I don't trust that it's real. There's a huge part of me that's holding out hope that this is all just a ruse, that Historia and Eren, ultimately what I'd love is some sort of, where they've made a plan of their own. Every time Eren touches Historia, she gets memories too. We've seen her eyes widen. We've seen her have these thoughts. I'd love to think that there's more going on than what it looks like, because what it looks like now is very defeatist, and I would hate to think we see so many defeated characters in the story. I'd hate to think that Historia is one of those. I don't want her just to be collateral damage at this point. She's come so far. So my hope is this is not what it appears to be.
Yeah, I've noticed that you had some alternative theories.
Yes. My favorite at the moment is that it was not Historia sitting on the porch. It is Armin in cosplay, because that would explain his absence from chapter 107 as well. Clearly, it's him and not her, since, they've done this before. So, maybe this is all a ruse to trick Zeke and Kiyomi into believing that the Survey Corps is being more cooperative than they actually are.
Yeah, well, as much as I'm sure a lot of people would like that theory to be true, I'm still afraid that she's really pregnant. But I think I've discussed this a little bit before with you, but I feel like this current arc, ever since Marley started, is kind of about people who once had dreams and had, their dreams will never become a reality. We thought that, or Eren thought that killing all the Titans would give him freedom. Well, obviously the Titans are now all gone, but freedom is not exactly around the corner. And, same with Reiner. He thought, going home, he would be happy and he would be reunited with his father and they could be a happy family. That didn't quite work out that way either. And also Ymir. Yeah, she thought she could live for herself, but in the end, she gave her life to save others. And, I think Historia might just be, another person on that list whose dreams might never, come true. And yeah, it's sad and depressing, but it's also what this entire series is. So
I'm just not accepting it. As long as I have the choice, until there is a child, emerging from her loins, screaming its first breath of air, I am going to stay. While I have the choice, I choose denial. So, but I agree. I mean, it's just that, there was one comment in the poll, I think it's one of the ones we listed as the top ones, which was basically like, how much further are we going to sink in Reiner level depressions over this series? Like, at what point does this series hit rock bottom? And, I keep looking, what it feels like? I don't know if you were probably reading the manga live when it was going on, but do you remember Trost? It was just forever. And everyone's dying. The Alpha Squad's dying. Eren can't do the job. I remember just the drudgery of reading chapter after chapter, just wanting any glimmer of hope. And I think I'm at that point again with Attack on Titan. Like, give me, aside from Nicholo being nice to Sasha's dad, I need some glimmers of hope, and I'm just not getting. I haven't been getting them for, months now. For months, it's just been getting darker and darker, and I'm ready. I'm ready for more glimmers of hope. Yeah. So the glimmer of hope I am holding on to is that this is all a lie. That Isayama included that last page to get us upset, and then he's going to pull a fast one on us.
Okay. So. Well, I still haven't found that glimmer yet. I'm still in the doom and despair zone. So
why did we choose this series? Why? There are so many nice series out there we could be talking about. Why did we pick Attack on Titan?
Because we like to hurt ourselves, apparently.
Us and, an entire fandom of people.
Yep.
So here we are. Yeah, so here we are, stuck with this series that makes us absolutely miserable month after month, and somehow accepting it and loving it. And not just that, we keep looking for new ways to make ourselves pain. And of course, that takes us right into the anime season, which started this week in the US and in the world.
Oh, yeah. Finally, Sunday, the 22nd of July, we got the very, very first episode of season 3. I know we both already kind of saw it before the official release, but now we finally have the opening as well. So this time around, Linked Horizon wasn't responsible for the opening. How did you feel about that? Did you miss them?
Well, Okay, I'm just going to talk about the song only. I think the visuals are a separate conversation.
Okay.
I love Linked Horizon. I have absolutely loved the anthem songs that have accompanied our SNK seasons. I mean, they're workout songs. They're, overthrow the government songs. They're these powerful songs that get you pumped and ready. And this one was very different. I remember when I heard the 30-second snippet, I loved it. I had kind of been hoping for sort of like that heartfelt power ballad. I thought it would fit the tone of the season because this season is going to just gut a lot of people. Mm-hmm. We're getting Levi, Erwin, Historia, all of these just, gut-wrenching childhood backstories. And I thought a power ballad OP would really set the tone for that. But yeah, I mean, I love the song. I do miss Linked Horizon. I love the song. What do you think about the song itself? Was it a hit or a miss?
I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. Maybe I need to listen to it a couple more times, but I do agree that like the bombastic openings we had in season 1 and 2 wouldn't be quite as fitting for the Uprising arc, but I don't know. There's something about Red Swan that feels like every other anime opening that I heard during my teenage years. I don't know. Like I said, I don't dislike it, but I'm not in love with it yet. But who knows? Maybe that will come later. Yeah, I also didn't like Shinzo Sasageyo the first time I heard it either, but yeah, I love it now. So, except for those dinosaurs, they still don't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Well, that, the dinosaurs takes us into a conversation about the visuals of this OP. So I loved the song, but then when I saw the visuals, I was really surprised. I'm not so sure. Let me back up. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the focus on, to me, that felt very kind of typical 2000 anime opening. The blue sky, the children running together, True. Characters bumping into each other. I felt like I was watching like the intro to Your Lie in April or, just some slice of life anime, some kind of heartbreaking slice of life anime. So I thought it was beautiful. I am still scratching my head about the content. To me, what I saw, with a very heavy EMA focus on their childhood, is just more fitting for maybe the return to Shiganshina arc as opposed to Uprising. I was expecting, I don't know. The visuals surprised me. I just was not expecting quite the childhood EMA focus that we saw. I don't think it's bad. I'm not sure it fits with this season. What did you think?
Yeah, I expected more focus on Historia and on Levi, and not as much on like EMA either. But I don't know. I don't dislike it because, like I said, this is definitely about childhood and leaving that innocence behind. And I think the clearest representation we've gotten as viewers is from EMA. Like, we've seen them as small children. We've seen how they've changed due to their circumstances. And we haven't really had that with Historia or Levi or even Erwin yet. So I think it was a good choice in that regard because it would resonate more with the fans. I'm also really surprised that they put a certain scene in the opening, namely the one where we see a hand in the background. And then we see Eren looking very determined, Mikasa looking in the distance, and Armin looking quite sad. And then we see a cut on the hand. And I think that was a reference to the Marley arc already.
I think so as well. I think I've even written a post to that regard. I'm almost certain that they're foreshadowing Armin's transformation next arc. And I thought about this. We noticed already some drastic changes in the organization of this arc. Episode 1, is jumping all over the place. Maybe we're in for a huge surprise all the way through. Maybe things that we think, I think childhood EMA works better in Return to Shiganshina. Maybe that's going to be introduced in this season. Maybe this whole, the next 20 chapters of the manga are going to be put in the storytelling blender and pieced together and spit out the other side. We don't know what any of these episodes. We are all in for a shock or
true.
A wild ride.
Because holy crap, that was a lot of manga chapters they managed to cram into episode 1. Like,
It really was. And so I think that we're all going to be just sort of week by week shocked by what happens or what doesn't happen, might even be the way to put it.
Yeah, true, because we also have a lot of parts from the manga that were cut out. And with some of them, I feel like, well, we're definitely not going to get them back. And with others, I'm still unsure. Like, are we going to get them at a later time, perhaps? Are we even getting like some new material to fill up some gaps? I don't know.
Well, I think we can. I mean, the fact that Reiner, Bertold, Annie, and Marcel were in the intro tells me that we're going to be getting some new. I can't imagine that scene is there just for fun. I mean, clearly, this first half of this anime season is going to touch on things that we were not expecting. That's a scene that's not even in the manga at this point. So,
yeah, true. Well, it is kind of, I guess, but not really, because we do see them, traveling at night, and we also see them looking for a place to camp, and we see them with their lanterns. So in the manga, but not that exact scene. You're right. But I do wonder if we will get that flashback that we got around 10 chapters ago now.
Yeah, I'm wondering as well. I mean, look at it this way. The fact that the person who storyboarded the OP felt like showing the warrior children was more important than showing, Ymir and Jean and Sasha, who were completely left out of it. I mean, to me, that's interesting storytelling if those things are not even going to be included for another, 12 or 14 episodes. So I do think that that's an indication that everything we know about the manga is kind of up for grabs at this point, and it is going to be told in a totally different way.
Yeah, I think so too, and I'm not necessarily opposed to that, because as we saw with last season, they moved up a couple of flashbacks as well, namely Marco's death scene and Ymir's childhood flashback. And I think both those flashbacks were used extremely well in season 2. So I hope rearranging the Uprising arc will lead to eventually a better quality anime.
I think it worked too, and I'm excited. I mean, as somebody who knows the manga very well, I'm very open to being surprised every week and not just having my manga volume out and flipping the pages, watching it become animated in front of me. I'm excited that it's going to be a complete retelling.
I'm very excited for this season, and I can't wait to see what we'll get. And yeah, it's kind of like we're all going on some sort of adventure together. And honestly, I can't wait to see where it'll take us.
So we've talked about the OP and the shuffling of the manga. Of what you've seen, what was your favorite moment? What did you enjoy the best?
The ending, of course, where we finally got to see Kenny and Levi kind of almost going at it. Oh, it was animated so beautifully. I absolutely love that scene.
It was fantastic. Was Kenny everything you hoped for? Was there any disappointment there? I mean, have all been waiting for that bar scene, and we got him flying through the doorway.
Yeah, well, actually, he's one of my least favorite characters, but I love seeing him in the anime. He just has this nice swag about him, and he's just, I don't know, he's so cool, and the way they animate him is so funny. I'm down for it. I'm completely down for Kenny this season.
What about the voice? A lot of people were concerned about who would be his voice actor and whether or not he'd be able to pull off that sort of swagger.
Yeah, I think they chose very well, because I really, really enjoy his voice actor as well. And Levi in that scene, oh my God, the animation team did a great job on him. And it's also kind of funny because I'm now reading some posts about people that they cannot watch season 1 anymore because he looks too good in season 3.
I agree with that. I mean, he really did. We used to joke about him being, the short, grumpy gremlin character, and he's hot. He is beautiful this season. I can't stop staring. I
think it's also kind of funny because I think they made him taller this season.
Maybe. That's interesting.
Yeah, because you can see it in like the promotional material. He's the same height as Eren, while he's supposed to be shorter. And if you compare like the manga panels, you can see like when he's walking next to Mikasa, like the gap has closed in. he's gotten a lot taller. I don't know if he started wearing heels in the anime or what happened, but
Wow, I had not noticed that. I'm going to have to pay attention. So I guess that takes Kenny's comment, you haven't grown a bit, have you, to a whole new level. Maybe it's not so true anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, I know it was tongue in cheek, but it's like, I'm not so sure about that.
Okay, that's definitely on my must pay attention to list. I'm going to be looking to see if Levi, he definitely is cuter. He definitely looks a little more like shoujo or, the collarbone, the jaw, his hair used to always just look like, this thick, like a mop head almost cut short. And, he definitely has been styling it better. So.
Yeah, he's been glamming it up for us, and I think the fangirls are very happy about that.
Speaking of fangirls, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the anime-only content involving Erwin and Levi, where they are in the bedroom having a conversation, probably only, a segment of the fandom would notice this, but Levi was not wearing the cravat, and he had a few of his shirt buttons unbuttoned and collarbone. Now, I'm not gushing over this exactly. it's interesting. It's
I hadn't noticed that, but thank you for pointing it out.
Yes. Go back and look. Take a look. We skipped over a whole lot of important, I thought, conversation with Erwin and Levi. We haven't gotten any of that. We certainly didn't get the hospital scene where they snicker at each other and insult each other. But, we got Levi relaxing in Erwin's bedroom, not wearing the cravat. Yeah, take it for what you will. I appreciated that moment.
I'm sure you did. And I'm sure
I did.
A lot of your friends did as well. Jesus.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to
next episode. Predictions. What do you think? I mean, obviously, it's either, I can't imagine at this point throwing in a flashback now. I mean, we got Kenny sliding into the bar. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen? The episode is called Pain.
Yeah. I think, are we getting the torture scene? We must be getting that scene.
I don't see how we would. I mean, if Levi is literally on the roof with Kenny heading into the bar, how are we going to get that? The manga chapter named Pain is Erwin's backstory and the torture scene. So, maybe we're going to get just a hint of that. I am, or maybe at this point we're going to jump right into Levi's childhood backstory.
I think we're going to see Levi get away from Kenny, but I don't think we're going to get the entire bar scene next chapter. So I don't think they have time to fit everything in. So
I don't either. I mean, I am just so at a loss. Part of me would not be surprised at this point if the action stops and they go ahead and dive right into Levi and Kenny's childhood. I mean, maybe not right away, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's a little more fluid the way it's presented. Because I think in the manga, we did not get that until chapter 69. Is that right? And here we are in the 50s, the early 50s. We should be, Pain is chapter 55. I am just probably wrong on that. I am reciting these numbers without having looked them up. But I'm pretty sure Pain is 55. Levi's childhood story is 69. So we'll see how much shuffling is about to happen here.
Things will get jumbled up a little bit, and we'll have to see how it works out in the end. But I'm curious. Because I'm kind of excited for the bar scene, but I kind of also feel like they will blue ball us because the entire first episode was kind of action packed, and I feel like now we're gonna have a breather for 1 or 2 episodes, and then we'll have another action packed episode. What do you think?
I don't know what to think. I mean, I am literally for the first time just along for the ride. So, maybe we'll be screaming about it during our next podcast, or maybe we'll be, rejoicing. So we'll just have to find out.
We'll see. But at least Eren will be in it, right?
Absolutely. I am very grateful for every moment that he's in. Every moment that he's in the anime. So, and especially that intro where he and Levi, a scene I know that none of us expected to see the two of them as children walking past each other. And that's another scene that I haven't dissected. We've dissected a lot of scenes so far of that intro, trying to make sense of them. That one I really love because Erwin, again, is not. He's straight ahead. He's focused. He's looking in the distance, whereas Levi is looking up to Erwin. So certainly foreshadowing the relationship between those two.
Yeah, I also didn't expect to see like them together in one frame, but I think it was very nicely done.
And I'm sure it's symbolic. I'm sure they're not going to rewrite their childhood. I think it was symbolic. I think that would be great. But the whole OP felt very symbolic.
I think it did as well.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank everyone for listening to our very first podcast. We hope you all enjoyed it. So, Mom, what do we have in store next time?
Well, next time we're going to start a discussion of Chapter 108 and also include more thoughts on the anime. We're open to any questions from people who listen to this, so if there's anything you'd like to know or a topic that you'd like us to discuss, by all means, please leave us a question in the comments below. Luna and I would like to thank you for opening up your hearts and ears. Until next time.
Bye. Can you say bye? Mom?
Bye. Okay.
Not like that. Be nice.
Okay. Bye-bye.